first month, the first video. It's September 1st. The big topic is the mind, so I'm going to focus on that. And the subcategory for the mind for this month is going to be on mental health and anxiety and depression. That just seems to be a huge issue right now in the United States. I remember seeing a headline a number of years ago that said suicide was a leading cause of death, or a higher cause of death than car accidents among young people. And so that really kind of woke me up. Said, wow, that's a serious issue. I've had family members, one actually committed suicide, another attempted suicide. So I'm somewhat familiar with the whole depression and anxiety situation. But I just want to get this right on the record. I am by no means am I a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm just a common sense doctor looking at things that have worked for me as I struggle with my areas of depression and anxiety and kind of how I deal with those. So I just wanted to go through those items. This is video number 1, the mind, anxiety and depression. So my first thought with anxiety and depression is really just address the fact that it's normal. And as a matter of fact, if you're not somewhat depressed or anxious at times, there's probably something that you're missing in life, because the reality is we're all going to get sick and die. And you just do a cursory review in history, and if you go back a couple hundred years, who was the wealthiest person in the world back then? You don't even remember their name. 100 years ago, you won't remember them. I mean, we all know, Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs with Apple. We remember Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan, people like that. But, you go a little bit farther down history and people are just going to forget. So, we're all going to get sick. We're all going to die. And if you don't understand that, to understand a little bit about the futility and fragility of our life, I suggest there might be something wrong with you. We're vulnerable people, human beings. We're fragile. We have this coronavirus that people have been dealing with, and deaths and suicides and all of these things that are going on. So I just want to say that depression and anxiety, it's a normal part of being a human being. Now that being said, how I like to use depression and anxiety, whenever I feel depressed about something or anxious, I always look at those as signals. So if I'm depressed about something, that means I care about what's going on, and I'm not happy with the results that I'm seeing. And so that's the first thing I look at. It's kind of like a light on my dashboard in the car that goes off. If I get a little depressed and I see that light flashing, that just lets me know, okay, there's something wrong that's going on. But it means I care. It means I care about what's happening. And that's the first signal when you start to experience depression. Similar thing with anxiety. Anxiety is just your fast forwarding, looking at a negative situation that might happen. It's not happening now, but you think it might happen. And so what that means is that you're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of what could possibly happen. So depression means that you care, and anxiety means that you're aware. So I always looked at depression and anxiety as not necessarily negative things. I mean, they're negative feelings. We don't like to feel that way. But it's a signal to let you know that you care and that you're aware. So those are good things to have in your life. You want to be aware and you want to care. Those are positive things. Now, when people are clinically depressed and they go talk to these psychiatrists and they start putting them on drugs, and sometimes that's necessary. I'm not bad-mouthing or saying that's not a good thing. If you're clinically depressed, absolutely, go talk to a professional. And but the one thing you have to keep in mind is these drugs are extremely powerful and very, very effective. So much so that you won't have those feelings of depression or anxiety. That's how powerful they are. But it's just like if you were to take some black electrical tape and put it over that light that was flashing in your dashboard. When the light's flashing, hey, you should be paying attention here. You should be anxious about this. You should be depressed. You're not living your life the way you should. But if you've got black electrical tape over your dashboard and you can't see that light, you don't have the signal to know what you should be doing. So I'm not saying don't see the psychiatrist or the psychologist, but understand those drugs are very, very strong, very powerful, and they're effective at what they do in terms of depression and anxiety. So what I